So basically, you're in, though, I guess, healing a trauma bond at this point from this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, what kind of behaviors was he displaying that made you think he was a little more on the narcissistic side?
Just very jealous, very controlling, very abusive, accusing me of things that I find out that he was doing. Let's see, he just wants to be in control. He wants to have the power. He wants to make you feel bad about yourself, belittle you. Just all those things. But on the flip side, he was also very charming and very helpful, and so that's where it was hard, because if he was constantly always negative and abusive, I would have not been able to, I wouldn't have stuck around. But
Right.
then all the good things, all the gifts and all the trips and dinners and everything, so
Was that part of like a love bombing in the beginning, I guess, right? Where did he have a mask on in the beginning for a little while?
Oh my God, yes, I thought he was so great, and then it was a little scary once the mask came off. Some of the things that I found out after the pandemic, actually, I didn't even know who I was with. Like, it was kind of creepy.
Like what?
Just things in his phone. Lots of women in his phone, and
Flirting and cheating?
flirting, cheating, Snapchat. Like, I don't know what he was into. There was a lot going on in there. A lot going on. I was like, oh my God, like, who even has time for all this? Like, there
Right.
was a lot of women in there. Yeah. So
It's like a hobby for them, then.
I think it was, yeah.
Well, it's all about supply, narcissistic fuel and supply for them. So all that stuff, anything that made him feel good about himself, that made him feel powerful or sexual or whatever, they're going to be really into that.
Yeah.
So about how long into your relationship with him did you notice this?
Well, the first few years he was just fine. It was just a little controlling, but I started noticing it actually when the pandemic happened, because I spent more time with him as I wasn't working as much. So when I started spending more time with him is when I started to really see his ugly true colors, like really nasty. He got really, he just changed as a person, or maybe he didn't change. I just didn't notice it this whole time. I didn't notice.
Perhaps a combination of both, right? But sometimes it does kind of sneak up on people a little bit, because they do wear that mask in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And they go from the love bombing to slowly to a devalue, and then to more of a discard.
Yeah.
So when this relationship ended, did you end it with him, or did he end it with you?
It's so hard to tell because we were on and off for so long. He's been ending it with me, but then coming back and texting me and getting back with me, and then I end it with him. So it's kind of basically
The
a little,
Hoovers.
yeah.
Well, what other? So he had these behaviors with the women. Was he like a gaslighter? How would
Yeah.
you handle like the discussions, debates, arguments with him?
You know what? It was so draining. He was always accusing me of cheating, constantly accusing me. Also, I just found out that I actually lost some of my friends over it, because he was going to my friends and telling my friends that I was talking bad about them, or he was trying to, like, I found out.
Smearing you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So
Well, they
I
call it a
actually.
smear campaign. That's what that.
Yeah.
is.
So I actually lost some of my friends during this whole, relationship. So, which is sad, because some of them were my friends from like grade school.
Right. Now they didn't come to you though and ask you what your side of the story was.
You know what? Sometimes in the beginning they would always tell me to leave him. He was crazy and things, but maybe he just, I don't know. Maybe I think that maybe he was probably cheating on me with one, or maybe trying to
Of your friends.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe he was giving her gifts and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. He was very
I
clever.
Guess
He was
it's possible.
Yeah, he was very clever. I don't know, really.
Was he a handsome lad?
Actually, he really wasn't that cute.
You're crazy. I'm trying to figure out which is better. I think this time.
I don't think he was that handsome. No, he was just very nice and very open your door and very thoughtful. He knew exactly what you would like to eat or what you would like to do, and he knew what gifts to send you. He just was very like assertive, like very.
Oh, so he was sure of himself.
Yeah.
He was confident.
Yeah, he was confident. But then it led me to believe that I thought he was insecure since he kept accusing me of cheating. But come to find out, it was him who was doing it. So.
The accusations are often confessions.
Yes.
Projection of what's on the inside of them and what they're doing. They think everyone probably cheats. And so they're kind of just telling on themselves too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he wasn't that good looking.
No.
Not that good looking. But he was a little more on the charming side.
Yeah.
And he was assertive.
He wasn't
and thoughtful.
ugly, but I mean, to put up with everything. He wasn't ugly, but it wasn't like, for all the things that he put me through, what you would think, right?
So, I mean, I guess your girlfriends, though, if they were doing that and like taking his side on it really and afterwards, they're not really much friends to you anyway.
No, and it's fine. True colors come out, but it was a little heartbreaking to find out he's going around and trying to get me against my friends and trying to isolate me. So that was a little bit hard to deal with too, because I'm like, really? Because he doesn't seem like this. I can't believe this is happening, So that was crazy.
So when you found out the stuff with the women, though, how long did it take for you to cut it from there? Like, did you put up with it for a little while? Did you want to give him the benefit of the doubt?
Well, I only really knew that about the one woman. I know that he was flirting with the other girls on the phone and trying to get them to date them and stuff, but since the one woman was married, I thought it was cut off, but who knows, right? It could still be going. I don't know.
They can be pretty sneaky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to, like, did you have a gut feeling eventually about some of this stuff too, or you really didn't know until you saw it on the phone?
I probably had a gut feeling because right? Like I did have a
The
little.
gut feeling prompted you to look into the phone.
Yeah, I did want to look into the phone. It's so hard because we were together for 8 years to really talk about what stage we were at. Like toward the end, I knew things were getting sour, so I knew that he was probably going to start, things were getting suspicious. Why you're acting different? Something's going on. He started acting different.
And you weren't married, though?
No. In the beginning, he was always, I didn't even think this was, I am so shocked of the things that I found out. Like, I didn't think all those things that I found out. I'm
what
like,
else did you find out?
Who was I even with?
Well, you finally saw probably the real him that he was mostly able to hide throughout the other years. Mm-hmm. But what else did you find out besides the women and the flirting?
I don't know. There's some creepy stuff on that phone. I'm just like, I don't know.
It sounds interesting.
Right now. Oh my God. Yeah. So, just a lot of different things. I think he's got some little weird fetishes,
It happens.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
Well, they say, like narcissistic people, I've seen them, they do like, there's a thing, I think I've seen with like conservative people too, for example, where they want their wives and girlfriends to get with other people. They say certain personality types are more prone to that. But I just think overall, we are much more of a permissive, like anything goes type society when it comes to sex right now, where you're not really even allowed to shame anybody about anything in regards to sex. Like, you get shamed, you get more shame for shaming than you do for the actual thing.
Yeah.
So he had some of these kinks and fetishes, which, on their face might not be the worst thing, but I guess it depends on how they come off.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like I didn't know who I was with after a while, and things just got crazy, so I had to cut that off. And that's why I think that I got sick too, from just being in a stressful environment, like constantly being like on flight and fight mode like that, right?
Fight or flight.
Yeah, okay. So that's where I think that I got sick just from being around toxic people and just never having like peace.
Right.
So
what was the final straw for you? Like, what gave you the courage to say,
well,
peace?
So I got cancer, and he was there for me during the cancer. We were like, I would have broken up with him before that, but he was there for me. He was taking me to my appointments, but then he was torturing me the whole time on the way to the cancer center, telling me I was cheating on him. Like, literally, I wanted to crawl out the car. I'm like, just stop the car.
Just what everyone's always wanted to do on their way to the cancer, the chemo place, is how they're going to plan their next sexcapade from chemotherapy.
Right.
But that just goes to show you how ridiculous they can be. And that's pretty selfish and self-centered, too.
Yeah.
You're going through this life-threatening thing, super stressful thing,
Yeah.
and here he is thinking, oh, she's planning her way to sleep with some other guy. Like, that's insane.
It is insane. And I'm like, I gotta get away from this guy. Like, I'm literally fighting for my life, trying to get through this, and then I'm getting accused of cheating. This is not healthy whatsoever.
No.
I gotta get out of, once I'm done, I'm done. So I've been done, and that's it. Like, I can't get sick again. I don't want to deal with it. All that toxic, narcissistic, I can't.
What did you learn? What did you learn from the whole scenario here?
I learned that I need to worry about myself and have a backbone. And I learned that, this literally could kill me, hanging out with this narcissist. Yeah, all of these things that he does are nice, but then there's just that other mask, right? Like, this is going to kill me. Like, I can't do this any longer,
Well, and then just even leaving, though, isn't always, it doesn't end there. Because then all of a sudden you got to heal the trauma bond, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
got
it's
it.
like the trauma bond is like an addiction, and it's not always easy to leave right away. And you said you did kind of reconnect a couple times after the breakup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty common too, because how I describe it to people is usually people that's very uncomfortable in the relationship, but then it's even more uncomfortable when they try to leave.
Yeah.
So they go back to that familiar pain instead of the new pain of the unknown.
Yep.
So it's like the refrigerator going back and forth. It takes a while to really fall over. But the narcissistic person, they're always going to try to do these Hoover attempts more than likely. So I always tell people, if you're in a breakup, be ready. Be ready for a Hoover at some point, especially if you're the woman and the guy's the narcissistic one. There's going to be a Hoover.
Yeah,
Almost without a doubt.
It's so crazy. Throughout the years, I've tried to break up with him and would give back. He bought me a car. It would be in the driveway, or if I wouldn't talk to him, I would get gifts sent to me. So very manipulative.
Yeah.
Very.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's like I call that like a love bomb hoovering. But that's not even a Hoover at that point. That's more like just trying to manipulate your perception of him.
Mm-hmm.
They call that impression management.
Okay.
A lot of the things a narcissistic person does is about responsibility avoidance, accountability avoidance, impression management, getting what they want, right? Being manipulative, or like avoiding some sort of consequence, right? Or a justification for a bad behavior. Often that's at the root of it. So you got to know when they do that victim thing, or not the victim thing, when they're trying to manage how you see them, right? That's just a manipulation attempt. Like all those gifts and things. It's like what you would really ought to do is fix the behavior that made you not want to talk to him to begin with. That
Right.
would be really the thing to do.
Yeah. Instead of trying to just cover it up with gifts. That's the easy way out almost, right?
So that's a good one to look out for. Other women should do this too. Like look out, because it might not just be gifts, and maybe that just had a good effect on you. Maybe for other women, it's something else that would have a really like a profound impact on them. Maybe it's like whatever their love language is, right? Whether it's the quality time, touch, adventures, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but they'll figure it out. They'll figure out what it is for you, and they'll press that button.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, if I do this for Gina, boop, she'll come back. If I do this
Right.
for Gina, boop, she'll stop being mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they play it like a button.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, it's like a game. Takes a lot of energy too, right?
Well, like in the middle of this relationship too, though, do they pick at a lot of your insecurities and flaws? Or like is he always finding things wrong, or you're always guilty of something?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I was really working out, and I loved to work out, and then he would accuse me of sleeping with the trainer and not go to the gym. And then he took me to restaurants like every single day we were out to eat. So I did gain weight. So now, he'll comment about my weight gain or something like that, With chemo, I gained weight, so, comment it. But, yeah, he as far as insecurities, yeah, I mean, he didn't want me to wear makeup. He didn't want me to go out. He was trying to rip up my clothes. So I feel like, yeah, he was insecure.
Rip up your clothes?
Yeah.
For what?
I guess so I couldn't go anywhere, just so I couldn't go out or.
Like the old barefoot and pregnant thing?
Right.
Not going anywhere? That's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of pathetic,
Well, they're jealousy. I mean, it's about control for them, right? But it's weird considering what you told me before, and he still would have those jealousies and insecurities about you doing that. But then on one hand, he wants you to do it too.
That's
on
what
one
I mean.
hand.
I know, it's so confusing. And if you try to figure it out, your brain will just go.
You know what
crazy.
it is? I could see in a way where it's like he wants to be in control of it too. Right? So, okay, it's okay if he's in control of you doing it.
Yeah.
But not if you do it on your own, because that's a loss of control for
Okay,
him.
yeah.
So I guess I could see that part of it. But, I'm sure you're not the only one that has these kinds of dynamics as well, or had those kinds of dynamics. It's pretty
Yeah.
common. And other women out there, they'll probably listen and they'll say, yeah, I had to deal with something very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So how long has it been now, really, since you've kind of spoken to him?
A few weeks, yeah. Just only a few weeks. Yeah.
Well, I guess what I would say about it is this. Do you think the trauma bond is healed with him?
I'm working on it. I am working on it. I think it's, after everything I just went through, though, it's definitely easy to just get over it and heal and move on with my life. And it's good that to educate yourself so that way you're aware of these
Sure.
things so you don't waste time or get sick,
Well, why do you talk to him at all anymore?
I know, that's tough. I think it's just been a long time, and he'll reach out, like he'll send a text about something and I'll just say okay, But I need to learn my lesson because it just constantly, it's never going to change. It's just this whole cycle because, I'll think, okay, we'll go out to eat, and then, he'll be nice. No, he's not. He's ruining the night. You can't smile. You can't have fun. It's not worth the gifts. It's not
Right.
worth the dinners. It's not worth any of that, So.
Well, it's like this, though, too. Like, there's levels to it, right? Because if you don't have to talk to him and you want to heal the trauma bond, your actions have to show it, right? And still talking to him, I know in my experience when I was trying to heal one, just little bits of conversation could keep it alive. Mm-hmm. Like if I still wanted some woman's approval or something, and she would breadcrumb it, and she'd maybe just like stuff of mine on Instagram or whatever. Like that's all it would take to keep it alive in my head.
Yeah.
Let alone like if you actually have sex with the person again. To me, if you have sex, it's like everything kind of resets almost. It can kind of be like, oh, you got to start the process all over again.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends. Maybe not everyone's like that. But
Yeah. Well, luckily that hasn't been my case, so I don't have to worry about that.
well, it'll be easier for you then,
Yeah.
I would say. But
Yeah.
even so, just not talking to them at the point, that would probably be the healthiest thing.
Well, I've tried that, a couple months. Remember when I had the restraining order?
Sure.
And
This is the restraining order guy too.
yeah, this whole
Okay.
everything we're talking about, yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, I tried that and it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. I started going out and dating other people, and it was starting to get a little easier. But I think what happened with me was the holidays came around, so
You wanted some familiarity?
maybe I think that was it, or he was giving gifts and sending gifts, and I wasn't talking, and then they stopped.
Oh.
So then I was like, oh, okay, they stopped now, right? So.
And so that made you feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you try to chase him a little bit from there.
I did reach out.
Aha! Yeah.
See?
There you go.
So
it
it's
worked.
hard.
So he's playing you a little bit like a fiddle there. Oh, I just remove the gifts, and then Gina comes walking by,
Yeah.
back, and then the cycle can continue there for a little bit. But again, like there is a difference between like being friends and then having something be more like intimate. There is a difference. And when it's more intimate, I think people can think it's not a big deal, but it certainly makes it harder to get over. But it just depends. It depends on how long it's been since you've been intimate with him, you know?
Yeah.
But
And that's the crazy part. I honestly, we really didn't have, like, in the beginning, obviously, but, like, I haven't, because of the way he acts, I don't want to sleep with him. And we hang out all the time, and, like, we don't really have to have sex. I'm fine with it. You know, I'm sure he's probably not. No, but, like,
I'm sure he wouldn't say no if it was offered.
Right. But, I mean, if he didn't act those ways, then maybe I would want to go ahead and... I didn't want to sleep with him after the way he was acting sometimes.
That makes sense.
I mean, he was very angry and just constantly accusing me, and it was just annoying. Like, doesn't really want me to